Hi, I'm Andrea Stevens. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and I want to give a little short talk today here about the purpose of food. So when I ask people, what is the real purpose of food? Sometimes I get enjoyment, fun, pleasure. Well, yes, it can be all of those things, satisfaction, but really the true purpose of food is twofold. One is to give us energy. Most people guess that one if I keep asking them, to give us energy. They provide calories that give us the energy to do all the work that we have to do every day. That is provided by what we call the macronutrients of the food. Macronutrients, macro means large, nutrients is substances that are needed by the body. So we need macronutrients in a large amount. And this is commonly divided into three categories of food known as protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Protein is provided through plants and through animals, but primarily animals. Animals have the densest protein and the most complete protein. The meat of an animal, whether it's a bird or a fish or a mammal or any other kind of animal walking on the ground, the meat of the animal is mostly protein, and for those of us who enjoy eating meat and think that it's healthy, like me, it's a very good source of protein and has all the essential amino acids in there. Protein breaks down into amino acids. But protein is also found in plants, and lots of plants. The plants that have the highest amount of protein are legumes, like beans, and nuts and seeds. So I think it's really great for your diet to have all those sources of protein in them. Fats is the next category of macronutrient, and fats have gotten a really bad rap in recent decades, and now the tide is beginning to turn, and those people who used to advocate against eating fat are now kind of changing their tune, it seems to me. I think fats are extremely important for the body. Plants also can come from from plants and animals. From animals, as long as the animal was raised properly, I think that the fat can be a fine source of additional nutrients and energy for your body. And fats also come from plants. They need to be extracted from the plant in a careful way so as not to damage the oil or the fat from the plant. And there's a variety of plants that have great oils in them. Nuts and seeds again, avocado, coconut oil, olive oil, of course. Those are all great sources. Just make sure that they were as minimally refined as possible and that they're high quality. Usually you're going to have to buy fats and oils in a health food store, I think, to ensure that. And the third category of macronutrients are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates come exclusively from plants, with the one exception of dairy products. Oh, speaking of, sorry, I missed an important category under fats and oils and protein, eggs. Eggs are great for protein. The white of the egg is the protein, but the yolk of the egg has wonderful fats in it. So again, as long as the chicken or the other poultry, the other bird, was raised properly without chemicals and eating its natural diet, the egg will be a very, very high source of lots of nutrients. But now going back to carbohydrates, carbohydrates are exclusively found in plants with the one exception of milk. There's some carbohydrate in the milk that comes from an animal, but other than that, there's no carbohydrates found in the meat of the animal or in eggs. Carbohydrates will all digest down into sugars. All carbohydrates digest down into sugars, but what's known as the fast carbohydrates or the starches, things like potatoes and grains, rice and wheat, all the breads and all the pastries and crackers, those are known as high carbohydrate foods or starches, and they will turn into sugar really rapidly. And this is increasingly felt to be a very problematic area of our diet. You've probably been hearing a lot about paleo diets and grain-free diets. I think there is a lot to be said for being very, very cautious with grains in your diet. Instead, starches from plants are from non-grain sources of plants are believed to be preferable. That would be root vegetables, like things like sweet potatoes and yams and turnips, or the winter squashes. In the U.S., we refer to the winter squashes in that category, like pumpkins, butternut, acorn. So those vegetable sources of starch or higher carbohydrates don't turn into sugar quite so fast, and they have a lot of nutrients in them, and they might be your best sources of the high carbohydrate foods. Regular vegetables, spinach, all the green leafy things, and usually those vegetables that grow above the ground. If you're picking them in a garden above the ground, they have a lower amount of the starch or the fast carbohydrate food and lots of other nutrients. So those three macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbs or carbohydrates, the percentages of each really that is best for each of us really vary widely. One person may do better with a really high fat, really low carb diet, moderate protein, and another person may do better with a higher amount. I think they can tolerate a higher amount of carbohydrates, and perhaps they don't require as much protein or fat as another individual. A lot of it has to do with your ancestry and your genetic makeup. But the best way to see what's best for you is just to try it. You just have to experiment with these ratios of macronutrients to see how you feel and how you perform. So that's one way in which we categorize food, macronutrients, and that's, again, where we get our energy from. But the other very important category of food, and this is the other reason why we're eating food, is for the micronutrients. The micronutrients are small nutrients, and those are things like vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals that are found in plants. We need these things too. These are also essential for our human health. It's just that we need them in smaller quantities. That's kind of why they're called macronutrients, large quantities of the protein, fat, and carbs, and micronutrients, smaller quantities of the vitamins and the minerals. But just because we require a smaller quantity of them doesn't mean that they're less important. They are equally important. The vitamins and minerals that are essential for human health are essential for making enzymes, for being part of all kinds of chemical reactions in our body. We must have them. If we have a deficiency of any one vitamin or mineral, we can start running into a lot of health problems because our body machinery just can't work right. So there are, most people will say 13 vitamins, officially recognized vitamins, and 16 or 17 minerals that are essential for human health. Vitamins we can make on our own to a certain extent. We can produce them on our own, or the wonderful good gut flora down in our intestines, the good bacteria, they make some of the vitamins for us. So we can produce a certain amount of the vitamins on our own, but we can't do it all. And so we do have to get the rest of our vitamins through our food, through our diet. Minerals are something, no, we cannot produce on our own. They have to come totally through our diet. And they come from the soil. They're found in the soil. The plants absorb them, and then the animals eat the plants, and that's how we get the minerals into our diet. Each one of these vitamins and minerals is really important. If you have too small of an intake of any one of them, you can really start running into problems, and the problems will just cascade and cascade and cascade. So this is why it's so important to have diversity in your diet. You really need a wide variety of foods, especially among the plants, lots of different vegetables. Fruits, yes, but be careful of the sugar content of the fruit, so I don't think that's a good idea to just sit around eating fruit all day long. Vegetables, yes, you can be eating vegetables all day long. Some of them raw, some of them cooked. If you cook your food too long, too high heat, you will lose some of the vitamins. But your diet still can have some cooked food, some raw food, I believe. We also need essential fatty acids, which will come from the fats. We need a variety of those. And the little phytochemicals that I referred to earlier, part of that category of micronutrients, there have been over 25,000 phytochemicals or phytonutrients identified. honestly, we don't even know what they're all about. We think that some of them may have some really profound impact upon our health. But I think the science is just too new. I think all of those phytonutrients might have some really beneficial benefit for our bodies. So again, diversity, especially vegetables, lots of vegetables, good fats and oils, a solid base of protein, and of course, everything should be raised without chemicals as much as possible. You'll have higher nutrients in the food if the animal or the plant was raised without chemicals, and you are avoiding the use of those chemicals. So I had mentioned that there were about 13 officially recognized vitamins and minerals, maybe 16, 17 are recognized generally as being essential for human health. But in fact, there really may be more. Again, there's these small trace minerals, they're referred to as trace minerals or trace elements, that may be really important to human health, but we haven't really quite figured it out yet, and we don't know how much we need of it. Since it's so hard to, I think, to eat a really, really diverse diet throughout the year, I do think taking a multivitamin, multimineral, and maybe some other supplements is important. They're called supplements because they should be supplementing the diet, but I think a good quality multivitamin, multimineral is a great insurance policy to make sure that you are not running into a deficiency of any one of these nutrients. And what's even better than not running into a deficiency is actually taking in enough so that you're operating in an optimal state. Thank you.